What is going on? Are you done? You
No.
good? All right, go ahead. I'm gonna let you dance it out. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go. Hey, dance it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome back to another amazing and impactful episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we shall live our best life through the lens of holistic health. You were confused on the hands for a second.
Maybe a little bit.
Well.
Maybe a little bit.
I'm your host, Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, and as usual, I have with me the health coach herself, the dancing queen, the curl-rific beauty of the stars. Please introduce yourself.
Beauty of the stars.
Mhm.
Stop. What's up, everybody? My name is Sinclair, aka the
The
Health Nerd, and happy to be here on a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
It's strange.
It is.
A Monday afternoon after successfully coaching 2 clients. Ding. Yeah, happy to be here. It's a holiday, Labor Day. We're doing a little bit of labor before we relax and continue our Harry Potter marathon.
Oh yes, that was good. We didn't make it too far last night, to be honest with you.
We made it halfway through the first one.
Woo! But today we are going to talk about, I think, a topic that is there, right? It's always looming in the clouds, but I don't think we always address it. And It's something that we're actively fighting through right now. And we, I think, are pretty transparent about our own health journeys on this podcast. We haven't made it. We aren't the 100% experts. We are developing with you all. So we're going to talk about today self sabotage, right? And this, by self sabotage, we mean like, how are you getting in your own way of becoming the best you can be, of living your best life? How are you a self barrier in getting to that next level, right? Consciously or subconsciously. Queen, are you ready?
I'm ready for some podcast.
Why every time? Why you got to do this to us? Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the episode. All right, we're out. All right, so jumping right into it. And again, if you're listening on Apple Music, Spotify, we appreciate your support. Definitely make sure you leave a review. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. It helps more people get the impact of the True Health Forever podcast. So before we hop into it, Queen, definition of self sabotage. Break it down.
No, I was like to start before we dive really deep into something. Let's start off with the definition. What are we talking about? Make sure we're all on the same page when we're talking about self-sabotage. So I have a little definition here. So behaviors. What was that? Did you have something?
Oh, I was wording to the crowd, what is wrong with her, in case you were wondering. But you can proceed.
Oh, that was it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the definition: behaviors or thought patterns that hold you back and prevent you from doing what you want to do. Notice every pronoun there was you, right? So he already mentioned like, what are you doing to be in your own way? You've heard the phrase like, get out of your own way.
Yes.
Something we all need to do, because in some way, shape, or form, we are our barrier in our own success. And for most people, probably the biggest barrier, right? I think we've heard like a lot of successful people when they talk about like what they did to get their success is like, I got out of my own way. I started to actually believe in myself. And once I did that, the sky's the limit.
Right. And I love that it's 2 things, right? And Jair, if you can put that definition on one more time, shout out to Jair, you know what I'm saying? Always having it right and ready for us. But it's the behaviors, right? So it's the habits, it's what you're actually doing, and pattern of thoughts. So it's not even only what you're doing, it's also what's in your head. What are you thinking? Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I don't have the time to do that. Like, all these thoughts are also acts of self-sabotage. So make sure you're paying attention to what you're doing and to how you're thinking. So y'all know she's the queen of like definitions, and I'm the queen of books. All right.
Yes, as you can
see a little bit. Yeah. That's about half the collection. I honestly ran out of bookshelf space and I had to start throwing away some stuff. You'll be proud of me, y'all. I threw away. I was going to talk about this during the highlights, but we're here right now. I've been hoarding PlayStation 2 games, PlayStation 3 games.
When is the last time you played a PlayStation?
I haven't played the PlayStation since probably 2015, 2014.
Really? Even then?
I feel like I played it once because I bought it in 2014, 2015. I feel like I played it once or twice, probably with Javon. Shout out to Javon and Chelsea. Played it once and then, yeah, it just never happened again.
I've known you for in 3 months, 10 years now, and I've
never
seen you use the PlayStation 2.
That was really funny. Kevin Hart, always a good one. But long story short, I started throwing away all that stuff, and we'll get into procrastination in a second. But I threw away all that stuff that I haven't used in years to make room for the books that I do use on a semi-consistent basis. But anyway, this book that I'm going to recommend folks to check out, it's on Audible, it's on Amazon. I'm sure you can get some free tidbits on the internet, but it's called The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. In this book, and I listened to this probably in PH, so like 3 years ago, listened to it for the first time, and I started clicking like, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And it breaks down literally the internal war that you have with yourself when you're trying to create something and put something out into the world. Mm-hmm. And not even as just an artist, like, oh, I'm trying to, create a new dance, or I'm trying to create a new painting, I'm trying to do a podcast, but it can be, I'm trying to launch a business. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to lose 5 pounds. I'm trying to get married. Like it was literally just goals that you're setting up for yourself. And he goes through the internal battle that you have. And the main battle is this term called resistance. And he says resistance occurs when you are trying to make a choice that delays the immediate gratification over long-term gain. Right? One more time. I'm going to back it up. We back. All right. Resistance occurs when you are trying to make a choice that delays, shout out to Jair, delays immediate gratification over long-term gain. Resistance will take any form to trick you into choosing the short-term gain. I want y'all to let that sink in for a second. It's going to come back later when we go through our 3 steps. But literally every time you are trying to get towards a goal, you have that internal battle with yourself over, should I just chill right now and relax, watch some Netflix? Should I, have myself a margarita? Should I eat this pizza? Whatever your short-term gain might be. Or should I lock down and finish writing this book? Or should I lock down and schedule my one-on-one meetings with my health coaching clients? Or should I lock down and try to get, whatever the variable is for you? And I have one more that I'm going to pass on to you to see how you feel about this. Okay. Do you have any thoughts yet?
Of course.
Oh, go ahead. Dive in.
Oh, I wonder if hopefully I'm not going to ruin what you're going to say next. But I always like to ask, I always like to go to why? Because that's so interesting that literally, I feel like that's why success, whatever you're trying to do, why it feels so good once you've accomplished it, because you've literally had an internal battle with yourself every step of the way. And so that's a real triumph, whether it's something small or something big. Once you've accomplished that, pat yourself on the back because you've overcome you.
You've overcome you.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah. Some quotes on that.
Yeah.
But the other thing that came to mind was the concept of again, just asking the question why. And I feel like it probably comes back to the idea of the survival when your body, in your mind, you're I'm preparing for success in 5 years or 10 years. I'm setting myself up for success in the next year, the next 6 months, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, whatever it is. But your body is probably more but I don't know if we're going to wake up tomorrow.
What about right now, bro?
Right. We need to do what's going to make us happy and help us survive right now. So I feel like that's the constant struggle and the idea of why I guess delayed gratification is so hard, because your survival and your instincts want to focus on right now. Very interesting.
100%. And I'm not going to go into a full deep dive. The book is a really good book. He talks about the concept of the ego you, psychology, versus the self you. And he says the ego you doesn't care about the future. The ego you doesn't even know if religion is real, doesn't know like what comes after life. The ego you is right now. It's almost like your animal instincts.
What is the show called? Something States of Tara? United States of Tara. Remember that show?
I do.
If you've ever seen that show, it's a person who has what is the disorder called? DID. I don't remember what it's called, but basically like a person who has multiple personalities. And so she's not able to control it, but she will go into different personalities.
Dissociative identity disorder.
Thank you. Shout out. But there's one of her personalities, and it's a fictional show. I don't know if it's based on real life, but there are people who do have this. But there is a personality that is basically like her primal, like animal, like, and I don't remember what they call it, but I think we all have that in us. And that's so interesting. That's the first thing that came to my mind is the picture of her, that when that personality comes, she's literally like on all fours, like not speaking. That's very interesting. But that's her survival, like id, very, yeah.
So it's constantly, and there's another way to do it. There's like the lower self, which would be that primal state, and the higher self, which is your human self, I can think about the future, that I have morals, I care about other people over myself, like all of that, animals don't necessarily have all of that. And constantly when you're trying to, create art, when you're trying to create a better future for yourself, it's a war, it's a battle between the lower self, your ego you, and your higher self, your just called self, right? So yeah, it's an interesting thing. I'm not gonna go dive fully into
That's a whole nother podcast.
It's a whole nother podcast. But I do want to talk about this next thing right here. And y'all let me know, Queen, let me know if you feel this. Okay. I felt it.
Okay.
I felt it deep. I was like, oh, he's talking to me. He wrote these words for me, right? So y'all let me know if you feel it too. But it says, the more important something is to our soul and long-term vision, the more resistance you will feel. Just right? That just hits. It's just a dagger right there. Like, dang, you know me.
Yeah,
I'll say it one more time. The more important something is to our soul or our long-term goals, right? You want to be the best educator in the world. You want to be the best dancer. You want to be the number one health coach, whatever your big goal is. The harder it is to make that one step, that two steps towards that goal. You can do a whole bunch of other stuff that seem productive, and you're doing things, right? You're doing things. This is my Achilles heel. I'm doing things. I'm feeling productive. I'm making presentations. I'm posting on Instagram. I'm doing all types of stuff. But none of that is actually getting me towards what my number one, what I say, my number one goal or my number one purpose is. So all those other things are distractions. All those other things are really just resistance towards what I really want. So think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Queen, I'm passing it off to you.
Whew, that I felt that. I felt that. Even just with like when you want something, when you really want something, it is hard. It is hard. I feel like that's when like the imposter syndrome, that's like the first thing that came to mind. Like whatever you feel the most imposter syndrome with is probably because you care about that the most. And you want to be the best. You want to be that person that is thriving. Right. But it's like you're constantly, again, questioning, you're doubting yourself. Like, but I'm not that person right now. And you're just that constant fight of like, well, I'm not that person right now, so I'm just not going to try. When in actuality, the mindset should be, no, I'm not the person that I want to be, but the only way to get there is by taking this first step, right? And I'm not going to be perfect, and I know I'm going to have some failure along the way, but I'm going to take the step anyways. Right. I feel like that's the hardest part right there. Whew. Yeah, I felt that.
Felt that one?
Yeah, right. I did.
I'm gonna pass it off to you, and as you're looking for it, I'm just gonna do one more.
Okay.
But I'm passing right off to you. And it said that resistance, again, takes the form of a lot of different things. It can take the form of procrastination. That's the most popular one. Like, oh, I can do that tomorrow. I can do that next week. Yeah. And then you keep telling yourself that. It can take the form of what you choose to eat or consume to distract yourself from it, whether that's substances, alcohol, really sugary foods, really fattening foods, like all those things that, again, spike your immediate gratification, but doesn't help you with that long-term goal. And it can also be other people. Right. So, Queen, I'll pass it over to you.
Other people. What do you mean?
Other people. So in your head, and this isn't other people sabotaging you, this is your thoughts sabotaging you. So let's say, and this happened the other day, my dad was like, hey, Devon, let's shoot some basketball in the morning. It was like a Tuesday. Demetrius was about to go off to school. He's like, come to the park, shoot some basketball. And in my head, I could have been like, yeah, let's go do that. But I had to copy the house key, which I had been procrastinating on for weeks and trying, and it hasn't been working. I had to create an outline for the podcast. Like, I had things that I had to do. If I would have said yes in that moment, that would have been me giving myself a procrastination pass. Like, oh yeah, it's important. Let me play basketball with them. Let me go do this. And I would have missed out on these 3 tasks that I said I was supposed to do.
And I think the key part there, which makes it so much easier to give in those moments, is like, it's not like I reached out and said that let's go play basketball. It's like he's reaching out to me. So all I have to do is say yes. Right. Very interesting.
Right. All right, Queen, go ahead. I know you got some fire for us.
I do. Do you want to share examples now, or do you want to share examples at the end?
We can get into them now if you
want. I feel like it's a natural segue.
Okay.
So we're talking about self-sabotage, like and ways that we self-sabotage. So I'll just call it be fully transparent, right? One of the ways that I self-sabotage myself, and I think that there'll be a lot of you out there that can vibe with me on here. Weight loss. Okay, and health in general, but more specifically, I'll talk about weight loss right now. How many times have you tried something, you start to see some results, right? And then maybe you got a birthday party or a wedding or whatever it is. You go home, having a family barbecue, cookout or whatever. So you're like, okay, I've done good for the 2 weeks. I'm just going to indulge this one time. Says no one. I should say does no one. Right. So you indulge that one time and then you're like, well, we're already here.
Since I did it yesterday.
Right. It's one more cheat day ain't going to hurt me. And then I'll just go right back afterwards. Does no one. So at that point you're like, well, the week is shot. Let me just go ahead.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. The week is shot. So let's just go ahead and indulge and we'll go right back after this week. Yeah. Does no one.
And then it just happens where you just wait till, I'll just wait till New Year's.
Yeah.
And it's March.
It's not a good time. Not a good time. Started a new job. It's stressful. So the year is shot.
This is the internal resistance.
Right. That is absolutely the resistance, rather than like, okay, and I'm not saying, right, you can't indulge, but it's the, after that, having the discipline to go back to, okay, we did what we said we were going to do. We indulged. It's time now to go back to whatever regimen we were doing before. Right. Yeah. So I think that's one way that I have self-sabotaged over and over and over.
With the close-up on the mic.
With the close-up.
Go, here it is.
Yeah, so that's definitely one way that I have self-sabotaged, where if I notice that I'm falling off, sometimes I'll just be like, well, it's the damage is done. Let's just keep going with it, rather than like, oh, pull back, come on back. So that's definitely one way that I self-sabotage multiple times.
Gotcha. And we're going to get into, I think, some action solutions, some alternatives. So, Queen, like with your specific example in mind, try to sprinkle some wisdom for how you can switch it over.
Yeah, we solutions oriented here.
So I got 2 examples. One's probably going to seem very abstract. The next one's very specific. So I used to run track as a kid.
Ooh.
Right? Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I knew that.
Speedster, right? I got some records, but I'm saying in the books, you feel me? Oh, that's how you feel? I got records, long jump records, 4x1 records.
I believe you.
Oh, about me. West Valley Eagles. But yeah. You see what happens when we don't have a guest on, y'all?
We just act up.
Right, a completely different side. We need guests on regularly to keep us in line. But as a track person, you obviously want to be as fast as possible. And there was a time where we were running against the girl track team. And, growing up, they just pound these, masculinity things into you. You cannot lose to the girls. We're going to give the girls a 10-yard head start. And some of these women are faster than me. I'm going to be real.
Sheesh.
These are some fast women, right? you cannot lose. Right. So that's in my head. That's in the whole boys team's head. So we're running, I think this was 200s.
200 and they have a 10-yard?
Yeah. Yes, like I said, you know, they just pound the ideas of masculinity in you. That's a whole nother podcast. But boom, girls go. Guys go. I am running the fastest I have ever ran in my life. Okay. Boom. I catch up. I'm beating the girls. Bow. I am running the fastest Devon has ever ran in his life. I can't feel my feet touching the floor, Sinclair.
You're floating at this point.
In my head, I'm flying. You don't understand. In my head, I'm literally flying. Like I'm taking off in the dirt. But to the concept of self-sabotage, I get scared about how fast I'm going because I'm not used to going that fast. I'm not used to not being able to feel the ground underneath my feet. And I slow down. As soon as I slow down, these women pass me. I'm just like, oh no, my masculinity is going away. So that's one example, right? And again, it's you strive to get somewhere, whether it's a physical ability, whether it's trying to create art, and you create or you reach this point that your body, that your mind is not even used to. Right. You can't even recognize this greatness that you work so hard for, and you self-sabotage, or you literally stop yourself because you're afraid of this moment that you've been working so hard for. Right. So that's one kind of abstract example, but hopefully some of y'all can vibe with that. The second one, more today and more realistic, is Black Study Snacks. That is my probably should be. It's not, but it should be my core piece of content I put out every single week, because I want to be the best Black studies educator there is in the world. I want to be a resource for kids to be illuminated and get this melanated information all across the globe. But this is the thing that's the hardest for me to create every single week. It is literally the hardest, because sometimes I see the comments on YouTube like, oh, you didn't do your research. Oh, are you sure that's correct? This is racist because you're not talking. I'm just like, oh, these comments. Oh my goodness. So that one makes it like, oh, dang, do I even want to create? What are the comments going to be? Two, it's, did I do enough research? Is this going to be the information that's right? I don't want to put wrong information and wrong dates out there. And now these kids are going out saying the Haitian Revolution was the First World War and all this stuff, when, you know, according to history books, it definitely wasn't. But in my opinion, it kind of was. So yeah, I feel like the Black Study Snacks, I've been procrastinating and holding myself back from creating that every single week, which is what I promised myself and the community. It's been like a month, and I released one this week. But before that, it was like a solid month, at least 3 weeks before I released it. And every single day, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. Every single day, it was on my to-do list. And you know, I write my to-do list every single Haitian Revolution. I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll scratch it off, write it again. And it was
fresh date.
Yeah. So what I had to do is I had to like break it down into study the Haitian Revolution. Like I already had the slides. Review the slides. Just do part one. Just do one slide, right? How can you start it? And I'm getting into solutions already. My bad.
It's okay.
My bad. But that is my example, right? One is the running so fast, I feel like Pegasus himself. And number two is procrastinating on Black Study Snacks, the thing that for me is getting me closer and closer to my long-term vision of what I want Devon Truvel to be in 20 years, 50 years. Passing it over.
So we've got some examples. Hopefully y'all connect with some of these examples and understand how you may be self-sabotaging yourself. But we want to be solutions oriented here. So we want to talk about steps to overcoming self-sabotage. So we could throw that graphic up, please, Jair.
Throw it up. And if you're watching live, we appreciate you. Go ahead and put a comment. You know, how do you self-sabotage yourself, or what are some signs that you think you may be self-sabotaging? Feel free to put those in the comments. We appreciate y'all. Go ahead.
So step one, define your goal. Because like he said, like with the Black Study Stacks, it can be easy to justify what you're doing if your goal is not crystal clear. Because if I'm just saying my goal, when I'm eating this plate of barbecue that I shouldn't eat, my goal is just to be happy. I just want to be happy, every single day. Then yeah, it's easy to justify to eat whatever you want every single day because I'm gonna be happy, right? But truthfully, my goal is to be the healthiest me I can be, right? And so once you've set that as your goal, or if we're talking weight loss, I want to lose this many pounds, I want to lose this many inches, I want to have more energy, whatever it is, define your goal in detail so that it's much easier to tell when you are doing activities that are not contributing to this goal.
I would only sprinkle in also the who. So define your goal, but also who else is impacted when you achieve that goal? What other lives are impacting? I think it's easy for us to say, oh, you know what? I won't do that when it only impacts us. But if you know that goal impacts your kids, if you know that goal impacts, an entire city, if you know that goal impacts directly your loved one, then I think you might be like, all right, let me go ahead and make that one step towards this for my kid's sake, for my loved one's sake, for my queen's sake.
Yeah. And I think a follow-up to this is make it visible. Because again, if you want to keep that in front of mind so that anything that's not contributing to this kind of gets that red flag in your brain, like, you shouldn't be doing this. So I think define who's impacted by it and make it visible, whether it's a note card on your fridge, whether it's your background on your phone, whether it's the background on your desktop, whatever it is, make it nice and visible, whether it's something in your wallet that you keep, whatever it is, something you walk by every single day, a whiteboard, make it visible.
Right. So are you okay with doing live, us answering these for ourselves?
Sure.
Cool. So I can go first. So for me, define the goal. Black Study Snacks. The goal is to be able to expose young kids, specifically K through 12, to positive images of Blackness, of melanated genius, so that they can go out there and they can have confidence in what they're doing. I feel like when I got exposed to Tulsa Black Wall Street, it did something in my mind, right? And it allowed me to, not only have confidence in creating a board game, but it helped us create income. And then now we create a product, and now that product is out there influencing people as well. How many other kids can have that same experience even earlier, right? If they know about Mary Kenner growing up, if they know about Mansa Musa growing up, if they know about Queen Calafia growing up, how can that influence who they are and what they're able to create and put into the world? So every time I don't produce a Black Study Snacks, I am keeping a young one, and this is probably going to be very dramatic, but I'm keeping someone from being their best person, right? I'm keeping someone from tapping into their melanated genius. So I can't be selfish, right? I got to create this stuff to be able to inspire that 1, that 2, that 5 kids out there in the world that needed that information. Queen.
That's good. I felt that.
Thank you.
So for me, it's going to be probably a mixture of a weight goal and a measurement goal. We get transparent here. I'm not going to be that transparent, but I'll have my weight goal, right? I'm going to go ahead and put that on our fridge after this. My weight goal and my measurement goal. And in terms of who it impacts, I think it obviously impacts me the biggest. And so when I think about, it's kind of layers to it. So for me, it impacts my confidence, right? When I look good, I feel untouchable. I'm like, what? Can't tell me nothing. So yes, when I think about who can I help when I'm feeling confident, I can help other people dealing with the same thing, right? So I feel like it's part of my responsibility to overcome this struggle so that I can help other people do the same thing. Because I know I'm not the only person struggling with this. So that's what I need to keep in mind. And that's who I'm going to keep in mind as well when I'm struggling, is there's some person out there who, is trying to lose their weight for their wedding dress so that they can, feel the best on their day, and you got to help them. I'm dealing with the same struggles that they're dealing with. And once I overcome that, I'll be able to say, hey, I've been there, try this. This is what you got to do to overcome that and to reach your goal. So that's what I'm going to keep in mind now.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So if y'all are watching, go ahead and write it down, put in the comments, define your goal. Who are you doing it for? Why? And when you reach that goal, who and how are you going to impact them? Okay. Step number 2.
Step number 2, identify your typical stress response. So that Not usually, for a lot of folks, that self-sabotage is going to be a stress response, right? Like you mentioned, you're running so fast you don't feel your feet on the ground. That's a stressful situation. That's an uncomfortable situation. It's uncharted territory. And that will send your body into some sort of state of stress, right? It is a good state of stress because, again, it's a stress necessary for growth. But what we tend to do is that once we experience that stress, is we have some type of stress response that in this framework of self-sabotage deters you away from getting to that goal. So literally his goal was to beat everybody else on the track, and his response, which was like, oh no, okay, let me slow down, literally is the opposite of what he needed to do to reach his goal. Same thing for me, right? My stress response is, well, let's just keep eating. And that is counterproductive. Not just eating anything, eating unhealthy food we know will continue to contribute to weight gain when my goal is weight loss, right? So it's identify your stress response and what things that you tend to do that deter you from your goal.
Nice. And I feel like this step isn't about, this is just about identifying, right? So we're not going to tell you what to do in this step. The next step, we'll kind of get into that. Right now, we just want to get you to get into a habit of write that list down. So you know, next time it happens, I'm dealing with stress. Right. This is what I do. Right. So go ahead and put your list down. For me, it's one, I come up with a new idea. Sinclair, you know me. Yes. Right. So I will come up with a new idea, like, oh, Sinclair, what we should do is we can create a whole new TH4 Inc. app that's better for and it's like, yeah, it's a good idea. But is that idea really getting you closer to what your real long-term vision is? Right. No, it's not. Right.
I think I've gotten better over the years of like, okay, that's a good idea we should act on. And yeah, I don't think that's something that we need to do.
Right. Big facts. Or I'll come up with like a new movie idea, a new script idea. Oh, Sinclair, what do you think about this? I can start writing it tomorrow. And it's like, yes, you could start writing that movie idea tomorrow, Devon. But is that getting you one step closer? So sometimes it can be an action that doesn't even seem negative on the surface. Right? It doesn't even seem like it's something unhealthy. It doesn't seem like it's something negative. But at the end of the day, it's still keeping you from your real, authentic, long-term goal. So have that list of maybe the truly negative things that are blatantly negative, but also the things that are maybe seemingly positive. But at the end of the day, it's still resistance. It's still a barrier from your goal.
Right. I call my friend and we start venting, which again, that could be healthy. If that's part of your process, go for it. But if you know that that's a response, it may not deter you from your goal, but if it's not getting you to your goal, then again, it may not be productive. Right. Or again, just being cognizant that I will tend to talk to this friend, and then after the conversation, I'm
too tired of work.
Right. So then being cognizant of like, okay, I can talk to that friend, but I got to know that I go right back to it afterwards. Yeah. And I now tell that friend to hold me accountable to do that. After that call, be like, okay, go back to it, right? You're going to go back to whatever you're doing.
Yep, that's a good one. Yeah. Queen, you got something here before we go to step 3?
One more thing is I think also identifying what triggers that stress response. So I think normally, or in one thing that could trigger it is, again, being that in uncharted territory, being in that uncomfortable space. So for you, it was, again, I can't feel my feet. And that's what triggered it. Like, okay, I'm going to slow down now. Maybe it's, again, if we're sticking with the same examples for weight loss. Oh, wow. I haven't seen this body in years. Whatever it is, it can trigger something. Maybe it's a comment from a family member. Maybe it's seeing a certain person who's you've always been envious of or something like that succeeding. Identify what triggers that behavior so that, again, you can start. This is all about just being more aware. You can't do anything until you are aware that it's happening. So yeah, I think identify what you usually do, but also what triggers those things so that you can start to be aware. You can start to get that little red flag that goes off the next time that starts happening.
Good one. And then the last step that we're going to go through right here is pick an alternate behavior or thought. Right. So when it comes up, you're feeling that stress and you're like, oh, I'm going to call the friend. Okay. What can you do maybe instead of calling the friend or in addition to calling the friend? Right. And I like your point on you call the friend, you tell them, I got to do this.
Right.
And then you go into the conversation instead of just going right into the venting. Or I don't know what I could have done instead of, slowing down in the run.
Mm-hmm.
I guess is that immediate versus long term. And it's crazy that long term was only like 5 seconds away.
Right.
So the long term is all relative. My brain immediately is like, slow down right now because you're flying. But if I would have fought that thought for just 5 more seconds, I probably would have won.
Right.
So that's interesting. Queen, thoughts on that?
I think it's choosing something more productive, something that maybe still is comforting to you, but is productive at the same time, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Or something that is, it doesn't have to be, I guess, something that doesn't deter you from the goal, but still, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, what I would say is make a micro step towards that goal. So what helped me last week in the Haitian Revolution, which Haitian Revolution is just a really dope history for all my fellow nerds out there. It's really cool history. I was talking to your dad about it. You was over there looking like, oh, look at these nerds. But it was good stuff. But anyway, it's all right. The real goal was to complete the entire Haitian Revolution video, which I've been procrastinating on for almost a month. So I was like, okay, today, do just the intro slide, right? So crank it up. And I ended up doing half. So I ended up doing more than the goal. So if you can figure out what is your goal, my goal is to lose 5 pounds. Okay, how can you do a micro goal? Okay, well let me take a walk. I'm feeling stressed right now. Instead of eating this, let me go ahead and take this walk. For me, again, it was, dang, I'm feeling stressed. I don't want to record this video. All right, Devon, just do the intro. Hey y'all, welcome to Black Study Snacks. That's all you had to do. But because you set up the camera already, because you set up the PowerPoint, because you made sure the lighting was all good, I go through it a completely process. By the time my camera's set up and I'm good to go, I've done so much work and mental energy. It's like, well, let's go ahead and get into it. Yeah. And I feel like we need to get ourselves on the starting block, right? Going back to track. Get yourself on the start, ready to go. You're in position. You got your spikes on. You got your track stuff on. So at this point, you have nothing left to do but to run. Right.
I think that's a good thing because I feel like sometimes when you're like, it seems such a lofty goal, like, oh, I gotta lose 10 pounds. Like that can seem like a lot. It's like, I'm not doing all that today. Right. Think about all I have to do today is get on the bike. That's it. Like, and I think just even that mindset of like, get on the bike. Are you realistic? Like once you get on the bike, are you really just going to get off? Right. Probably not. It's like, I'm already here. Might as well bike for 5 minutes. Something. It's anything is going to be better than nothing. Right. So just tell yourself, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to create the outline. That's it.
Yep.
And then most likely you'll start, the momentum will get flowing and then you'll be good to go. I think what I was trying to say earlier is like, you want to choose something that can still make you feel semi-comfortable. So maybe something that brings the stress level down, but does not deter you from the goal. It still gets you towards the goal. So yeah, if you're going through it and you're just like, oh my goodness, this is uncharted territory. I've never been here. I'm feeling a little stress. Maybe some meditation, maybe going on a workout, maybe going on a walk, things that are going to help get you more level-headed, but aren't going to deter you from whatever that goal is. So yeah, I think just choose some things. That doesn't have to be one thing. Choose some things you can pick from, and just kind of have that list ready to go so that when you're in those moments, it's like, okay, well, let's go ahead and just do this.
Right. Self sabotage, y'all.
Yeah.
I feel like, so this is something that I've definitely dealt with. I'm glad we did this episode. Selfishly, this episode was for us. I'm not gonna lie. No. But this is definitely a helpful episode for us to realize what are our goals, what are the habits that we're doing that are holding us back, even though it may seem like, oh, we're making some good steps. We are making some good steps. And I do want to take time to say, Sinclair, very proud of you. You're doing your thing out here. Thanks. You know, you are not getting in your way. You are moving self or ego Sinclair aside. Yeah, wait, over here breaking my microphones now. And you are making solid, tangible steps forward. So congratulations. Thanks, and keep going. And I think the whole TH4 team, y'all know Jair. What's up? Yes. Jair, Harry, Rajel, it's been a pleasure. Much love to y'all. We go to the moon. But it's good to see that we are all making those small tangible steps as a team.
Yeah.
Even though I think sometimes in my head, and I think sometimes in your head as well, what our big vision for Truvel Forever, what our big vision for Playback Wall Street is, we're like, dang, we're not even close to being there. But whenever I look back and I have that sheet of like, you know, every 6 months that I take kind of a measure of where we are so far from where we were in 2016 when we first started TH4.
Right.
So to see where we are today in 2021, although it's not, you know, the tip of the top of where we want, is so far from ground zero or ground negative, whatever's below ground zero that we started. And I think that goes to anyone out there who's watching, who's listening. Like, you are, for the most part, unless you're just starting, unless you're like a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old, you're probably like further in your journey than you realized. So, you know, measure that, like write it down, the steps that you're taking every month, every 4 months, every year. That way, when you do get stressed and you feel like, man, I'm not making any progress, you can go back to the notes, you can go back to your YouTube videos, you can go back to whatever measure you have and be like, you know what? No, I'm better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm better than I was a year ago, than 2 years ago. And I'm going to keep getting better with small steps.
The last thing I think I want to add on to this conversation is that we should have prefaced this at the beginning. The whole idea of overcoming self-sabotage requires you to be very honest with yourself. Because again, it is very easy for you to blame you not accomplishing something on everything else, on that person because they called you, on your dad because he asked you to go to basketball, even though it was your decision, right, to go play basketball. If you did, good job.
Yeah, I didn't that day, but the next day I did play basketball. So again, I stopped the short-term gain in that instance and I got my stuff done. And the next day I had the time to play basketball with my dad and little brother. So it was like a win-win situation.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you have to be very honest with yourself. So if you've listened to this podcast and you're like, nah, that's not me, I'm not in my own way. Think about just question. Am I in denial? Am I actually not in my own way? Or am I just blaming something, making me feel better about my decision? And I say that because I've done that. I've been there a lot too, where it's like, because you feel better, right? I feel better knowing it's not my fault. It was somebody else's. So I could still sleep better at night knowing that like there was nothing I could do. When in actuality, there is, right? You did make that decision. You did whatever it was, right? You are holding yourself back. So just be very honest with yourself about what are you doing that's holding yourself back. Whether it's just pulling back once you feel that success coming, whether it's negative talk, whether it's that's one I have to watch for myself, is that whenever I do something that maybe doesn't move me towards my goal, is I start like, well, of course you're not going to do that. Well, of course you and you're never going to And I'm aware, right? So I catch myself like, hey, don't talk to yourself like that. Don't talk to me like that.
There you go. Sometimes you got to fight yourself.
Right. Don't talk to me like that.
Who you talking to? I'm a queen.
Period.
Talk to him.
So yeah, I think it just requires you to be very honest with yourself. Yes, dear.
Doesn't. Keep doing your thing. You know I like when you talk that talk.
Yeah, man. It just requires you to be very honest with yourself. So take some time. If you're not sure what you're doing, just be aware for this next week. Like, start journaling, maybe like, that might have been a moment that I self-sabotage a little bit, and start noticing if there are any patterns. Because the awareness is that first step. Once you're aware, you can start creating those action steps to overcome that. Once you do that, woo, boy, sky's the limit.
Oh yeah, you on a roll there. So we did see your comment. Thank you, Grandy, as usual. Said the sound quality is excellent.
Hey.
Love it. Always trying to get better, improve. Much appreciated. So again, we'll go over those 3 steps really quickly, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up and do our usually weekly highlights. But the 3 steps of overcoming self-sabotage is to 1, define the goal and who will be impacted once you achieve that goal. 2 is to
identify your typical stress response, as well as what triggers that stress response.
And lastly, number 3, possibly the hardest one, is to pick an alternate behavior or thought to your usual stress response, right? So you have to literally fight yourself, fight that resistance within you, and take that other path to make a step forward.
Yep.
Right?
It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, but that is the way to reach whatever, to get on the other side of whatever's in front of you.
Yes, ma'am. So again, if you are watching on YouTube, whether live or on the replay, make sure you give a like, subscribe, and tell a friend about what you learned today about self-sabotaging, how to overcome it. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff, like and leave a review. We appreciate it. Queen.
Yes.
Weekly updates. How has your week been? Or if you have, monthly things that we didn't get a chance to talk about earlier, any updates you want to share with the squad?
I do. My week has been good. I officially mentioned the last podcast that we have free health coaching sessions, 30-minute sessions. They've tended to go over, but that's okay. It's okay. But free sessions all through the month of September. It's actually perfect that we're having this conversation right now, because me delaying starting health coaching has been a finished my first 2 actually earlier today. So feeling pretty good about that.
Yep. Yeah. And hopefully, Jair, let us know if you were able to hear that. All right. And so, Queen, if you can do maybe a slight replay. You started saying how long, and I was like, please don't ask me. And then right then the internet shut down, as if it was saying, yes, don't ask Devon how long it's been. But can you pick up from there?
Yeah, but I've been saying I wanted to start health coaching for about a year, and had not done it. And today was the first day that I actually, met with folks and started doing some coaching. So I got out of my own way, and just said, let's start. I kept telling myself, my self-sabotage I kept telling myself I'm not ready. Right? No, you have to go and get this. You have to go and learn this. You have to do this. You have to do that. And I just stopped giving myself excuses and said, you're ready. Go ahead and start. Everybody starts somewhere. Nobody is an expert when they start. But you're not going to get to the number one health coach if you're not a health coach.
Literally.
Period. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm excited for, all of the other folks that are gonna be able to benefit from these sessions. And I mean, my mindset right now is like, if you just come for the free session, you get your recommendations and you take it and run with it, I am happy, right? As long as it makes an impact. But if you also want to, kind of have the free session be a little taster, and then you work with me either on a monthly or bi-weekly basis, I'm also happy with that. But yeah, I'm excited. So if you are out there, you've been wanting to take your health to the next level, not really sure where to start, go ahead and head to our Instagram, True Health Forever. Click on the link in our bio and you can sign up for a free session all throughout the month of September.
There it is. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Go ahead and get it. Take one step closer to living your best life. Anything else you want to share? I know you got some products out there. Rep your products. I know you got the health coaching, but even if they do the health coaching or don't do the health coaching, you still got other products to help them out. What you got?
So we have a smoothie ebook, 7 smoothies to live your best life. So again, taking this knowledge and applying it, got a lot of ingredients out there, a lot of fruits and veggies, nuts and seeds, nutrient dense compounds that have a lot of good properties for your bodies that can fight things like cancer, fight things like diabetes. We're not talking about anything curing anything, nothing like that. But it helps stack the odds in your favor. So 7 Smoothies to Live Your Best Life is an ebook available on the website truehealthforever.com. Also on the website, we have a 4-week intermittent fasting plan. So if you're like, I kind of want to start, I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do, go ahead and download the plan. It'll give you kind of a layout of how to pick your eating window, as well as home workouts and gym workouts that you can do for the entire month. So go check that out as well on the True Health Forever website.
Boom. So yeah, love the products, love the fun things you're going. Oh, we got another comment. You got good eyes. Read that for me, please. No, don't touch nothing. Just read the comments.
I can't see the comment. Oh, there.
Yeah.
Your podcast today is right on. I personally can identify with all the points you brought forth. Proof that you are never too old to learn good habits. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Grandy. Thank you, Grandy.
Yes, Grandy is using the 7 smoothies to live her best life. Yes. Much appreciated. What else we got? Feel free, if anyone else is watching, you can leave the comments live. We're close to the wrap up, so feel free to also put comments in the video, and the health nerd or myself can come in and answer those questions. For me, let's see. Well, one, I did produce the Haitian Revolution video. Woo! Oh gosh, that was stressful. What else do we got? We got the 4-week wealth building course or wealth building academy that is launching September 15th. If you have scholars ages 11 to 18 and you want to enroll them in this 4-week wealth building impactful, they're going to be learning about Tulsa Black Wall Street, Mansa Musa. They'll be learning a little bit from Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice, a little bit from Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson. A lot of great literature in there. So you can go to playblackwallstreet.com, sign your scholar up. And if your scholar is signed up, you can also learn as well. Right. So if you haven't learned from these great books, if you have your own kind of business idea, you can go ahead and sign up your scholar, and y'all can be sitting right there in class, learning together, reading together. I think that can be good, just bonding time with your loved ones, as well as just the whole family can learn. So go ahead, head to playblackwallstreet.com and sign up for the 4-week course. We also have the masterpiece editions, which are actively shipping out across the world. Love to see it. Love to get the videos and the pictures, all the great DMs. Thank y'all for the support and trust. I know it took longer than I wanted to get to you, that you wanted to get to you, but they're finally here. So please enjoy them. Go to playblackwallstreet.com. Purchase your masterpiece edition. Currently on sale. Go ahead. Playblackwallstreet.com. Get yourself a game.
It is a beauty.
It is. It's literally a work of art. All right. Anything else we got for him, Queen?
I think that's it.
This is it. Okay. Well, as usual, we appreciate y'all for tuning in to the True Health Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game.
I'm Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd.
We hope y'all stay healthy. We hope y'all stay mentally wealthy. And of course, we hope y'all stay true.